Well, we've got the locking wheel nut off, all that problem we had with the Mondeo. It's now part 2 in the strip down for the DMF and clutch replacement on this Mark III Mondeo 2-litre diesel. Keep watching. Right, well, in part 1, as you saw, we were just about to take the wheels off, and I've done a few little removals of the battery box and the air filter and stuff like that. Now, we've now got the car up in the air. I'll show you that in a second, how we got it mounted. But I also went out and brought one of these. This is an engine support beam, and it's a recommended tool to have. I think they're about 60 or 70 pounds if you look online. I found this on eBay for 39 pounds. So some people just jack the car up and put a block underneath it and hold the engine and support the engine up itself. But realistically, you really want to get one of these. So for the sake of 39 pounds, it's going to save a lot of hassle and heartache if the thing fell off the jack underneath. So anyway, so we've got that. I've not rigged it up yet because I've looked at the where to put it yet. So, but underneath, it's taken us 3/4 of an hour to find out, or to get the car up in the air high enough. So I'll show you what I've done, and that might save you the same amount of time. So let's have a look and see what we've done to jack the car up. Well, first of all, we've got a large trolley jack there, and I needed that. And 2 of these blocks of wood, I had 2 of these to sit on top to give us the height to actually put 4 of these. Now these ain't breeze blocks, these are those concrete support blocks, so these are really, really strong. So the first thing we've done was to jack the car up on the subframe first of all, on one side, and get the 3 under first of all. Then we went to the other side and got 3 under, and then we come back to this side, and that's when we needed the extra blocks on top of the trolley jack on the subframe, so that we could get it high enough to get the 4th block under. So once we got the 4 blocks under there, what you'll find is that the car only sits, because of the angle of the car when the back wheels are on the floor, it's only really sitting on the cross member beams here, the support rails are over there, right on the edge. So then you have to get a pair of axle stands, as I've done there, and we've jacked the car up on the back, and that there, as you can see, means that the whole weight is supported on these concrete blocks rather than it just pivoting on the back there. So if you're going to do it this way, this is the way that we've done it, and we're right up in the air now. As you can see, back and front of the car is right up and supported on them blocks. I've put the wheels underneath just a matter of precaution as well. We're going to need the trolley jack when we lower the subframe. I'm going to try and do this without totally removing the subframe. They reckon that it can be done by lowering this side of the subframe down, and that's what I'm going to try and do. We're still going to need to disconnect the steering column, which is on the other side, and keeping the wheel dead straight. I've got to disconnect, obviously, the wheel hubs so that we can pull the drive shafts out of the gearbox. That's one this side and obviously one the other side as well. I've got to separate the suspension here, as you know, and there's a few more bits I need to do. I need to drain the gearbox as well. And also, as you probably know there, I took the radiator cowling out there to give myself some more room when I started doing the the starter motor. So you really got to take that out as well. And I'm going to remove some of this hose in here because I want proper access to the gearbox here. As you can see, there's the linkage down there still for the gear linkage. I've got to disconnect there. There's a mount there. There's another mount at the box at the engine at the back there, so I've got to do that as well. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. So I'm just going to remove some of these hoses here to give me access a lot better here, and I'll see you again in a second. Right, well, as you can probably see now, while I'm stripping some of these pipes out, we can actually see a lot better now inside here. I'm in front of the engine bay now, right in front of the radiator, as you can see, and you know I've removed that cowling there. Now there's also this down here which has got to be removed. This bolts onto the side of the actual gearbox bell housing here. So there's one fixing there, looks like a 13mm. Where else there? It's a bracket basically, and there's another bolt to it down there. So take these two bolts off. That should pull this bracket away from the bell housing, and then we'll have another reassessment of the situation. Right, so I thought there was 2 bolts on here, there's actually 3. So, and they're 13mm. Let's undo that. Like that, and then that just drops straight out the way, as you can see there. There we go, that all comes off in one piece, look. Yeah, that's the whole front of it there. So that's what you're looking at. You've got 2 fixings there, one there, and one which I couldn't see, which was in there, and that then allows you to move all this out of the way. So I'll just stick that down the side. And that down there, as you can probably see, that's where the starter motor ring gear is. And that's where we can lock the flywheel if we need to lock the flywheel to undo the drive shaft bolts. So that's where we can lock it from there. Okay then, right, the next pipe I'm going to take off is going to be this pipe here. Now this is a solid pipe there with some flexible pipes further up and down either direction, and this is actually bolted onto, looks like the this front gearbox support back there. So I'm going to have to undo that one first, just so that I can actually remove this pipe and get out of the way. So that's what I'm going to do now. Right, so what we're finding the easiest thing to do, because a lot of these Jubilee clips here, you'll find you can't get a screwdriver in. So the way we've got around it is just to use the 6mm headed nut off of a little socket wrench there. That fits on the Jubilee clips wherever they are, and then you can loosen it off, as you can see there, obviously providing your Jubilee clips are in good enough condition, and that then allows you to rotate your clip like that, and then you can get your screwdriver on to fully undo your clip in a better position. There we go, just like that. That's it. Push that down there at the moment. There we go. Get that clip off of there. Just push that clip back on the hose. I might take that other hose off again in a minute. And as you can see, I've loosened that bolt there, disconnected that, and that means all I'm going to do there is just undo one of these clips up here with a screwdriver on my little socket. Like that one there, for example, because you physically can't get a screwdriver in there. And this is the bit that takes all the time. It's getting all these ancillary pipes out of the way, and only you can decide the order of doing this in the engine bay once you come across it, because going by the manual, I'm at the phrase stage now where I should have been disconnecting some suspension or steering underneath and getting ready to lower the subframe. But as I say, this is the bit you've got to do off your own back. Right, okay, there we go. Little cable clips also on there, undo. And that means I can take that solid metal pipe out, as you can see. And that means I can remove that metal pipe now, and as you can see, we've now got even more space down there. So I'm just going to have a re-evaluate, and I'll get back to you in a second. Right, as you can see, this pipe along here that goes down along and up here as well, it's got a couple of clips on the back of the turbo, and I'm just going to undo this. I had to undo these with a socket because this actual clip here was round there, so I needed to do that with a socket and a wrench, 6mm, and now I've just turned the clip round, and now I can undo it properly with a screwdriver, and I'll put that back with it facing this way. Right, okay, hopefully that should just drop that off of the turbo now. There we go, and there's another bit out of the way. And as you can see now, we've got clear access now through to our cable gear change mechanism, which shouldn't be a problem to disconnect. And all these cables here. In fact, there's a connector there, look, which I can just disconnect there and pull off. There we go. And it's again, it's just a matter of knowing where they all come from. That comes from below there, so I can push that down the back there. There's also one that goes onto the top of the gearbox there as well. Not quite sure how that plugs on, mind you. There's a little clip underneath it. Oh, it's a wire clip. So there's a little wire clip holding that one on. Can you see that, can you? Is it clear? Yeah. So that's pulled down with a screwdriver, look, to pull the little metal clip out. As you can see, there's a little clip. And that hopefully should just pull off now. There we go. And that sits on the top of the gearbox as well, so don't lose that little clip. And I'll put that straight back in so that I don't lose it. There we go, just like that. Then that can come away. Then we've got this one up here, which goes up to here. Again, same sort of thing. Right, so for this clip, I've just pushed in there with a screwdriver. And that then, hopefully, enables me, there we go, to pull back on that like that. That can then come out through there. Remember their roots, these cables, as I said to you before. And now, all these cables can pull round there and gives us a bit more room as well. So there you go. Right, I'm going to disconnect the cables now, the gear change cables, as you can see here. Now apparently you do this by this little inside bit. There's a bracket there which holds the cables on, and apparently you turn this anti-clockwise. So I'm just holding that like that. Right, you're going to love this one. We're just disconnecting like things around the engine bay, as you know, and we thought, well, we're at the top end, we might as well disconnect the gear change cable mechanism, the arms that go onto the top of the gearbox. We've got the manual, and here we go in the manual there. It says twist the spring-loaded knurled collar anti-clockwise, and they show you a little diagram there. And the next diagram they show you with the bloke just withdrawing it there. So that is a nut there. Anti-clockwise to me is in this direction. So we come over to here, and as you can see, that's the thing there. And I tried getting grips on there to turn that anti-clockwise, and we spent near enough an hour trying to work that out. And then we decided to try and disconnect these off of this end. And for those of you who don't know, you've got to push these buttons in at the top there. Look, see that spring button there? You push that in, and then it just pops up off of the arm. They can be a little bit tight, so you might have to get a screwdriver underneath them to leave them up, but you must push that button in, and then that withdraws off of the little ball and socket. And this thing, as I said to you, we spent about an hour trying to turn this thing anti-clockwise for this to come out. And just by chance, I went to go clockwise. Now, as you can see, look, I'm turning it clockwise now. It locks in, and then it pulls out. So you don't turn it what I thought was anti-clockwise. You have to, this little key thing here lifts these two little copper pins, or look like copper pins, up when you turn it fully clockwise. And there you go, that's that one actually disconnected now. So everything has been a real nuisance to do. These are little things that hopefully you'll be able to get over now, which is taking me the time to do. So that's that one out of the way. So I'm going down here again now, and I'm not going to turn it anti-clockwise, I'm turning it clockwise with my fingers. There we go. And hopefully I can just lift that gear. There we go, look. Just lift that gear lever out, and now, there we go. And that's just popped straight out now, look. And now, as you can see, there's the other end of it there. And that's what you have to do to push in. And this one was a little bit tighter, this one's on the side. So it's the black one at the bottom, and the white connector, which is this one here with the white end on it, is on the top one. So just to remember that. Now they're both out of the way. That took about an hour to try and sort that one out, because the manual was leading us astray, and it would turn it anti-clockwise. So there you go. That hopefully will save you a lot of time if you're changing the gear cables, or you've got to do something on the gear cables on one of these Mondeos. Right, so looking for jacking the engine up now and holding the engine up. We've got a bracket here, as you can see, on the front of the engine, We can't find one at the back yet. Well, we're not really interested in one at the back at the moment because the only parts we're going to be disconnecting, I think, is going to be the front, which is that one there on the gearbox, and also there's one down at the back there, I think, which we might have to do. So this is the engine mount we're going to rely on. As you can see, it sits on big rubber pads there, and this is really sturdy piece of kit. So at the top end, we're nearly sort of all clear. Then we've got most of the work to do underneath. So all right, we're going to set this up now. As I say, we need both hands and two of us on this, so we'll get back to you in a second. Right, light's beating us today. Just to show you, I'll just show you what we finished off doing. We've had to stop because obviously of the light. So we've got the engine on the front engine mount there. It's just supported there, as you can see, on our bar. And I thought we'd just come around to this side wheel. And all we've done here is removed the steering rack ball joint there. That's just undone that, and we hit that with a club hammer, and then that popped out. I have got a ball joint splitter, but we didn't need to use it. I then removed these two bolts here, to I think 15mm. That took the caliper off, and I've just hung the caliper up there, as you can see, on some cable ties. And then that meant I could pull the disc off. As you can see there, the disc is sitting down there, and that big hex nut there, which holds the bottom ball joint, that's a pinch bolt there. If you go around the other side of it, you can see it there. I've already taken the nut off of it there, but I'm going to leave it in for the moment because I'm just going to support this with the jack there tomorrow or whatever, and then I'll drop that down. That should then drop that arm, and that then allow this arm to drop. And that arm, as you can see, the lower wishbone arm there is actually fixed onto the subframe, and that will allow that to drop down. This big nut in the centre there, which I've got to undo as well, and I might have to lock the steering ring on the starter motor to do that. That'll be tomorrow, and that then will enable me to lever this out of the way and hopefully punch the drive shaft through there and then disconnect this drive shaft. So there you go. That's what we've got up to so far. It's not quite as the manual, and obviously the manual doesn't go into all the detail of disconnecting hose pipes and stuff like that. It just says sort of take stuff out of the way, but you've got to look at it and look at your own common sense to decide what needs to come out and then adapt accordingly. And there you go. Hope you've enjoyed this little video, and we'll see you again in the next video. Till then, bye for now.